Thank you, Deb. As Deb mentioned, I am just returning from the Republican National Convention, and I'm sure a lot of you were observers of that, and I had the opportunity to observe it all from the convention floor. There were a lot of great speakers. Marcus Luttrell was there. I saw Don King. He was also there and present. Kid Rock was there, as well as all the speakers that we heard from the Trump family, several congressmen and legislators from Wisconsin, and a whole bunch of other people. So I think it was a great success and had a good time out there. So as Deb mentioned, I will kind of be discussing our way forward and the strategy that we have kind of outlined moving forward through the end of this year and into the 115th Congress. So currently we have identified several opportunities within the appropriations process for addressing truck weight reform. Currently, Congress is deliberating over the 2017 appropriations legislation, and they've passed a lot of the bills through the committee, and we're kind of awaiting the action that they're going to proceed at the end of the year. As it stands now, we are not really expecting much progress until September when Congress returns from recess, and given that it is an election year, we expect that nothing will be completed until after November, kind of post-election. And as Deb mentioned, we're kind of expecting a continuing resolution or an omnibus spending bill. And FRA and our allies will continue to advocate for inclusion of a limited scope pilot project, and the key provisions of which would include a 90,000-pound six-axle truck weight, 500-mile haul radius for agricultural and forestry products, and bridge formula compliant vehicles. So this pilot project would most likely be temporary and subject to kind of Wisconsin and possibly Minnesota. And we have a good advocate up in Wisconsin, Tammy Baldwin, who has indicated her support for this. And moving forward into the 115th Congress, we will continue to push for truck weight reform, and we'll be looking for a new House champion as Congressman Reed Ribble will be retiring at the end of this year. This is going to be a strategic decision, and our goal is to align with the majority party and select a member that will be assigned to the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee. And because our goal is to make advancements in truck weight efficiency and to kind of provide the necessary data to the Department of Transportation, we're interested in supporting efforts that will move us in the right direction. Additionally, FRA and the American Loggers Council will continue to advocate for adoption of the Right to Haul Act. This was legislation that was introduced in the 113th Congress by Congressman Steve Sutherland from Florida. And this legislation would specifically make highway weight tolerances applicable to interstate highways within the state for both agricultural and forestry products. And as some of you may know, Congressman Steve Sutherland no longer serves in Congress, so this legislation was not introduced this session. However, moving forward into the 115th Congress, we will continue to support the American Loggers Council and kind of seek out a new champion in the House. And our goal is to kind of move this legislation as a standalone bill. However, we may have some opportunities for attaching it to another vehicle, perhaps appropriations bill or another legislative vehicle that must pass before the end of the year. Another issue that we plan to engage in is the truck driver shortage, which has harmed trucking capacity. The American Trucking Association has recently estimated that the current driver shortfall will be 48,000, and they project that it will increase to 175,000 by 2024. As many of you are aware, the current law kind of discourages employment of younger drivers and prohibits drivers under the age of 21 from driving trucks across state lines. However, in addressing this, the recently passed highway bill, the FAST Act, included provisions that established a pilot program that would assess the impact of allowing truck drivers as young as 18 to operate trucks in interstate commerce. And participants of this program will be restricted to, and are going to be restricted to, former military personnel or reserve officers who are qualified to operate these vehicles. And FRA is going to continue to monitor the progress of this program and seek other opportunities for advancing and addressing the truck driver shortage. And in conclusion, coming off the Republican National Convention and moving into the Democratic National Convention, FRA and a coalition of organizations are planning to submit a list of our priorities and policy recommendations to both the Trump and Clinton campaigns to get their consideration and hopefully advance some of these initiatives moving forward. And to learn more about the Forest Resources Association, you can check us out at forestresources.org. We've got all of our policy positions up there and our advocacy efforts. So thank you for your time and consideration.